everybody! So today's video is going to be a hair transformation, or I'm going to be calling it that just because I am going to be doing a few different steps to my hair today. The first thing I'm going to be doing is base breaking my virgin hair on my roots, and if you don't know what base breaking is, it's basically just taking your virgin hair at your roots, or you can even do it if you have full virgin hair all over your head. But what it does is just lifts your natural hair level like a level or two. What I'm going to be using today is by Joico. It is the Base Breaker Cool. It lifts one level in 10 minutes. So it is a cool tone, so hopefully I don't have too much gold or any gold at all present. So I'm just going to be mixing that up. It comes in a bottle like this. I have 1 ounce left, and then it calls for using a 20 volume developer. So I'm just going to be using the Salon Care one. So 1 ounce of this and 1 ounce of this should be good for my roots. So I'm just going to mix that up really quick, and then I'm just going to show you guys just like the front section of how I'm going to apply it, and then I'm going to have to go to the bathroom to finish the back. So I'm just going to mix that up really fast. So then you just have something that kind of is sort of runny. I am actually going to let it sit just for a few minutes just to see if it thickens up a little bit, because I can see this being super messy. So I'm just going to leave it just for a few minutes. I don't want it to start oxidizing in the bowl before I can use it, but I'm just going to keep stirring it, and then I'm going to apply it. And after stirring it for about 2 minutes continuously, it has thickened up enough to where it's not like super runny. It's not really even dripping too much off of my brush. I'm going to be applying it, and I'm going to show you my roots really quick. I have about a 1/2 inch outgrowth. I did my full-on bleach about, I would say about 4 weeks ago is when I did it, maybe a little bit over 4 weeks. So yeah, I do have about a 1/2 inch of outgrowth, and I want to try to stay away from doing a on scalp bleach every single time. I'd rather just get into doing highlights to make it more natural, but like I said in that video, it was the easiest way possible to get me all over blonde. And I'm also planning on adding Pastel to it after I tone it, so I'm going to include that in this video also. So the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is do the base bump. So all I'm going to be doing is just going over just where you see the outgrowth. So from my part to there, I'm going to be applying this, and I'm just going to start and stop babbling. And you want to work as quickly as possible just because it is a 10-minute thing. It's not like you can leave it on for 30, 40, 50 minutes. It is meant to be a quick process. And I have used this before, and it does look like it's going to be turning your hair purple, especially if you have blonde, but it ends up washing out or rinsing away. So if you use this, don't be completely freaked out. It will be okay. So I'm just going to be showing you just the front sections, and then I am going to have to go to another mirror because I honestly can't see that good in this mirror. So I'm going to just show you that I'm only applying it just to my roots. And you do want to try your hardest not to do it all on the blonde. Like I said, it does rinse off, but you still want to avoid doing that. Now that I have outlined my sections, I'm going to be taking about 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch sectioning, and just keep going along, working as quickly as I possibly can. So I have the front fully done now. I'm going to go to the bathroom to finish the back, and then I will be right back. So now that I am looking absolutely crazy and I have my base bump on my roots, I have 10 minutes set on my timer. After that 10 minutes is up, I'm going to be shampooing my hair just using my daily shampoo, not purple shampoo or anything like that, because I am going to be toning it after I do shampoo this out. No conditioner, I'm just going to be shampooing, and then I'm going to be showing you guys the toner that I am using. And I am going to show you slightly the process of how I'm going to do that, doing it as quickly as possible. So I forgot to mention before, you don't have to use the Joico base bump. There are other ways you can bump your base or lift your base color just slightly. You can actually, if you know your level of natural hair, you can use a level down with a 20 or 30 volume developer, just depending on the brand, and that can actually lift your base also. You want to make sure that it is a cooler tone, or at least a neutral or natural. I would not use golden or anything because your natural hair is going to lift on the warm side more than likely anyhow. So you can also do something like that. So I just shampooed my hair. I had to do it twice just to get the product off of my scalp, and as you can tell, I still do have roots. And my hair is damp, so you can probably not tell too much that it did anything. What I'm going to do is tone my hair, just all over toning of every single part of my hair. I'm going to do my roots and all the way through my ends. And I want it to be sort of a platinum-y pearl, like a really cool tone. So what I'm going to be using is my Paul Mitchell The Color, and this is in UTP, which is their Ultra Toner Platinum Blonde. And with that, you mix 5 volume. So I'm going to be using the Platinum Blonde Toner with the 5 volume, and this is also a 1:1 ratio. Then you have this, and I'm just going to mix it up. And Paul Mitchell Color honestly is really hard to mix. They tell you to use a whisk, but that just takes just as long in my opinion, so I'm just going to be using my brush. And I'm not even gonna lie, this is probably gonna take me about 2 or 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna do this off camera. So I have it all mixed up in the bowl, and that is just the consistency. It's a little bit thicker, not super runny at all. So I'm just going to be going over my roots first, just to make it easier and make sure that I have it all. And this isn't as precise since I am doing all over my head. I needed the mirror to do the base bump, but since this is literally going all over my head, I don't think I'm going to need a mirror, and I'm actually more than likely going to switch over to using just my hands. It's easy on like a client to use the brush the whole time. When you're doing your own hair, sometimes just using a brush is just difficult, so I'm going to try to look professional here and just use a brush, but I'm not making any promises that I'm going to be using it the whole time. So I'm just going to be outlining all of the sections just like I did before, and working as quickly as possible just because it is a toner and I don't want certain spots to be like more platinum than others or turn too platinum, which I don't really have a problem with the platinum toner. It's the ash toner in the Paul Mitchell line that you have to be really careful with. This tends to not turn your hair purple or too platinum in my opinion. Obviously you want to be careful no matter what toner you are using. So I do have a video explaining all about toning, but the reason I'm using a platinum as opposed to an ash also is because I don't really have too many golden tones in my hair right now. It is mostly just slightly yellow and more neutral of a blonde, so I can get away with just using like a purple based toner. If I had more golden tones in my hair, I would have added even just a little bit of the ash, but since I don't want my hair looking super gray. I really just want it to be a nice cool toned blonde. So that is why I use that, and I will also be linking all of my hair color videos that I mentioned in this video, like the one where I went all over blonde with Olaplex. I'll be linking that down below, as well as my toning video, just so you guys can check those out if you are interested. And in my toning video, I had a question about me not wearing gloves when I use this toner. The reason I don't is just because it's a 5 volume, which isn't strong at all. I know with the Wella toner, I believe you use a 20 volume. If you are using something with that high of a volume developer, yes, I recommend wearing gloves, but I have never had a problem with the Paul Mitchell with the 5 volume before. It's never done anything bad to my hands. But yes, if you are using a toner that, like the Wella, that is 20 volume, definitely I would recommend wearing gloves. And the Paul Mitchell toner can be left on anywhere from like 1 minute, just depending, all the way up to 20 minutes. 20 minutes is their max, or the maximum time of what they suggest. So I don't know how long I'm going to be leaving this on, so I'm just going to keep track of it and then let you guys know, just so you have an idea. So I got all my roots done, and like I just said, I typically wouldn't like to do it this way, at least on a client, but since I'm just doing it on my own hair, I'm not going to be too bothered by this. I'm just going to be taking it in my hands and just doing it this way. So like I said, if I were working on a client, I would use the brush, but on myself, I'm not too picky on application as long as it gets the job done. And I forgot to mention, all toners are different. The Paul Mitchell one you do apply on damp hair. That's why I just towel dried my hair and then applied it on. So whatever toner you are using, make sure you definitely read the directions because your toner might ask you to apply it on dry hair. And when I work on clients, I always do this at the shampoo bowl so then their hair can just sort of drape in the bowl. But since I am doing it outside of the bathtub just to show you guys, I am piling it sort of on top of my head. I do have some left over here in the bowl, so what I'm going to be doing just to make sure that everything is saturated is I'm just going to be putting it in my hands and sort of working it through my hair just to make sure that everything is saturated. But since it is all covered for the most part right now, I can pretty much start my timer. So I'm just sort of going to be counting in my head just so then when I go and look at a clock, I know exactly how long it's been on. So I just washed the toner out. I left it on roughly for about 15 minutes and then I shampooed it only once. I did not condition once again. I'm going to let it air dry for the most part and then probably blow dry it if it's not getting as dry as quickly as I'm wanting it to. But I'm going to let it air dry just because I don't want it to be completely frizzy when I go ahead and apply the other color that I'm going to be doing. So you can see that it is still slightly on the warm side, but not as warm as it was. It's still a bright blonde. I didn't want to completely dull it out. So like I said, I'm going to let this air dry and then I will be right back to show you the third step. And before I forget to mention, I know that I used the Joico Base Breaker Cool, and I don't think I'll be using that again, but I am going to be showing you guys the steps just because I did use it this time around for this hair color process that I am doing. I wouldn't recommend it mainly because after toning I can see how orangey and brassy it actually made my roots. My natural hair color is ashy, so I almost wish I would have never even used that step, but since I did, I have to show you guys what I did. So I don't know if you guys will be able to tell, but it is pretty dang brassy. So I would not be recommending that unless you know your hair is not going to pull a lot of warmth. My kind of hair is that hair that really looks ashy, and then if you try to lift it with anything other than bleach, like any kind of color or high lift, it turns brassy. So I probably should have known better. So here's my hair after it is dry, and the next step I'm going to be doing is adding like a pastel purple to my hair. So right now I'm just going to be mixing conditioner into the bowl, and the conditioner I'm using is just a Paul Mitchell After Sun conditioner. It's honestly the only conditioner I have right now that's like a white color. So all I'm doing is just squeezing it in here. I'm not doing my whole head so it doesn't have to be like a ridiculous amount. So I think I got it all out, so this is about how much I have, not too much, but like I said, I'm not doing my full head. And then I'm going to be taking the Vero K-Pack. It's also by Joico, and it's the Color Intense Semi-Permanent in the color Orchid. So it's almost like a purpley color, but it does have a pinky undertone. It looks like it's coming up more blue on camera, but in person it is like a purple with a slightly pink undertone. So I don't want this to be super purple, especially since this is all of the white conditioner I have. Everybody always says you have to use white conditioner. I've actually done this before with like slightly yellowy conditioner and it turned out just fine. But I also don't have any inexpensive conditioners or any like daily conditioners that I am willing to use for this. So I'm going to do the smallest amount possible, and then you can always add in more. So right now I'm just going to do this. So right now all I have is like a few drops in there. I'm just going to stir that up, and I do want this only to be pastel. I don't want it to be super dark or anything, and I know it's not going to last long, but I don't want it to last like really long time because I do plan on adding lowlights in my hair. The only reason I bleached my hair out as much as I did is because I wanted to do something like this, but I can't see me wanting to do it permanently, so I'm okay with it not lasting super long. So as you can see, it is still really white, so I know that I can add a little bit more. So I added that much more. I'm just going to stir that up as well. And this almost looks like a neon color that is pastel, which is exactly what I want. I want it to be almost like a bubblegum purple color, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to be doing is taking foils, just because I do want to keep the hair that I don't want colored separate, and just going to be showing you what I'm going to be doing. I think I'm going to start with the back, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a hard time filming this just because I don't have any mirrors where I can see in the back. So I actually might do the back off camera just because I have mirrors in the bathroom where I can see the back a lot better. But I will show you the technique on the front. So now that I have the back done, I'm going to show you guys the technique that I'm going to be doing. And I forgot to mention before, I'm not doing the full head. I am just going for like a ombre style, sort of, I guess you can say. I want it to blend in really nicely with my blonde. So the goal is not to do any of my shorter layers. I want to stop about like cheek level. So now that I know where the back is going to be, I can go ahead and section off my top layers. So I'm going to be coloring this here, and then this here, and then once I let the clips down, I'll see where they lay, and I might do a little bit just on the very tips. But what I'm going to do is just cut this section in half and clip that out of the way, so then I am left with about an inch wide section. I'm going to be taking a foil and my highlighting comb, just putting my highlighting comb under that foil, laying it right there. Then I'm going to be taking that color that I had, adding a little to the brush, and then starting at the bottom, just going to sort of apply it halfway down, and then I'm going to turn my brush like this and go down this way, sort of blending gently up so that there is not a stark line from doing it this way. And if you have to, you go ahead and add a little bit more at the bottom. And I'm taking the very corner, or like the very top of the brush, and pushing it in there just to make sure that all of the blonde hair does get the color on it. And after you do that, you can kind of go over it again. So again, I'm not going all the way to the top. I only went to about right there. And then gently just blending so there are no harsh lines. Then now that you have that done, I'm just going to lay another foil on top, just like that, and then folding it up. You don't want to fold up the foil, like the same foil, because then you might end up with purple by your scalp and you might end up with a splotch, and you don't want to do that. So I'm just going to let that down and then do the exact same thing, maybe even going just slightly lower, because I want more blonde on the top and then more of the purple pastel to be focused just on the very ends. So since this section is higher, when it comes down, the blonde will fall lower than the bottom section, if that makes sense, because there is more hair starting up here than down here. So I'm going to, I think, start at just about right here, which is where the other one was. So start about at the middle, just a little bit lower than the other one. Once you have that established, you can go ahead going on the sides, making sure that everything is blended and there are going to be no harsh lines, because I do not want it to look like a super dip-dyed look. I'm not a fan of that. So you can just see that blending just sort of helps diffuse that line. Go on the ends, making sure that it all is getting the color. Again, you just want to lay a foil on top and fold it on up. And then before I let down the clips, I'm just going to do the same thing on this side. Once that's done, you can go ahead and let your clips out, and you can lay your hair over how it would naturally fall. You can see that some of them are longer, and I do maybe want to hit just the very ends of that. And this is also what I did in the back. So all I did in the back was took this whole section, I didn't split it up again, and just comb it through, making sure to get all of that hair. Then you want to just put it right there, and then I only want to feather in just the very ends. So all you want to do is just blend in just the very ends. And this is just going to kind of tie it in a little bit better, just so it's not like an abrupt stop. Then this one you can just sort of fold over since there's nothing down here. You just want to be really careful with that. Same thing on the other side. So now that I have it all foiled up, this bottle says 20 minutes at just room temperature. I'm more than likely going to leave it on for 30 just because I want it to stay. I don't want it to all rinse out with the conditioner on the first round. So let's just say I'm gonna do 30, and if I change my mind I will let you guys know, and I will see you in a little bit. So here's the finished hair color after I have rinsed everything out and styled it. I think if I would have had enough, I probably would have done my whole head, but I can see where there are some splotches, which I knew was going to happen just because I have porous hair, so some spots took better than others, but I do really like it. Like I said, it's probably only going to last a few days, and I am totally okay with that, and who knows, I might be doing this again all over, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I don't really like how my roots came out. I'm either going to be putting bleach on those, or maybe even just putting color on it to add more depth again. I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. I don't think I'm going to leave them like this after looking at them like I thought I would. But other than that, I am really impressed with how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate if you would, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye everybody.